Hey there, I'm Mr. K. Um, we are going to talk about developing paragraphs comprised or made up of a claim and supporting evidence. So, the last couple lectures were about kind of identifying those things. What are those things? How do authors use them? How can we use them in our own writing? Now we're starting to get to the point where we need to make a claim. We need to make a thesis, an overall thesis for our work, right? And so in this video, what we're going to learn about is how to construct an effective claim that requires evidence. Now, the nature of these videos. Some of you are in my class. Like maybe right now I'm having you watch this in class. Maybe you're watching this for homework. Maybe I assigned it for homework or over the weekend or something. We may be watching this together. So if you're in my class, like if you're in my face-to-face class, at this point, we don't write an essay. We're not there yet. You know how to write an essay, but in a way that's best suited for the AP Lang exam and being successful on it. We're not there, right? So this is, all I'm having my students do at this point is identify claims. Make claims, read something, understand it, work through it, critically think through it, and then how to construct a claim. So that's what we're doing right now. All right. So if you're not my student and, maybe your teacher's having you do full essays or whatever, more power to them. I'm not judging any other teacher's way of doing it. You just might be watching this video and be like, claim, I've already written an essay. This is just a thesis statement. I think figuring out how to write a good thesis statement is crucial. So that's what we're doing. Okay, so we got two goals for today. We need to understand what a defensible claim is, and we need to understand how to build a substantial defensible claim, or how to build substantial defensible claims, plural, right? What does it mean for something to be defensible? What does it mean for it to be substantial, right? That's what we're figuring out, all right? So this is kind of our full picture here of an argument and how it's developed, how it's made, how it's structured. So we have our main idea, conclusion, or thesis at the top. This typically goes at the end of the intro. Down here in our last lecture, we talked about these really being our body paragraphs, our reasons, and our evidence, right? And over here on the left, just to add this idea, your reason, that's the same thing as your claim. What are you claiming to be true, right? And that idea, your claim, should really introduce the paragraph. It's like your topic sentence for that paragraph, right? And so, if you are arguing that the author uses biblical allusions in order to emphasize the importance of the issue that they're talking about, that would be your kind of claim that you state at that point in the essay. You would start your paragraph off that way, right? So that's kind of where we're at in the essay process, right? So building a defensible claim. A defensible claim, what it is a statement about a subject that requires support with evidence. These are controversial because not everyone agrees with them, so they cannot be effective without evidence. All right. By controversial, we don't mean that you have to say something that is, possibly offensive, to be that type of controversial. What we mean by controversial is it's not just a stated fact, right? It is something that two people, two readers, two listeners might be taking in the same exact text and they might think two completely different things about it. You know, one reader might think that it's a metaphor for parenting. Another might say, no, it's not a parenting metaphor. I think it's a metaphor for sort of the life cycle, birth to death. Whatever. Right? Two people read the same thing and come to two different conclusions. That's what we mean by controversial. That there's disagreement, possible disagreement, and that means that you have to offer evidence. You have to, right? So when you make a claim about a text, it should not be a statement of fact, right? Talking about Martin Luther King, gave his "I Have a Dream" speech at a time when racial injustice in America was at the forefront. That's just true, right? That's not defensible. You can't defend that because there's no need to defend that, right? But if you were to say that Martin Luther King, his "I Have a Dream" speech was the most significant event in the entire civil rights movement. Okay, well, that's defensible. Some people might say, no, it wasn't that. It was actually, this march, or Rosa Parks, or the assassination of Martin Luther King. Whatever, there's disagreement there. So you don't. It's not just stating a fact. So to prevent this, what you can do is make sure that you can say, prove it about your statement, and can then provide the evidence and the reasoning for making that claim. So if you claim, Sojourner Truth referred to her listeners as children as a way to establish herself as sort of a source of wisdom. I definitely think that's why she did that. If you watched one of our past lectures, but that is defensible. Some people might say, no, that's just the way she talked. It's just what she said naturally, or maybe she was saying it condescendingly. These children don't know what they're talking about there, but there could be some disagreement. So when you make a claim in your head, can you look at that statement and say, prove it, or is it something that's just true, right? So real quick, I don't want to overwhelm any student with, too many paragraph formats. And all I want to do at this point is show you there are some options. And this is something that, if you're one of my students in class, especially, we'll be working through this, but excuse me. I just want to show you that there are different body paragraph formats, but that a defensible claim, it's not a tactic that you should do if you want the sophistication point. No, you have to do this. This is like AP Lang 101, right? Excuse me. So here's one basic format. You might start off a body paragraph giving a claim or a reason, stating your opinion that is defensible, right? And then giving evidence, support that shows the audience, explanation, 2 or more sentences explaining how the evidence supports the claim, and then connecting back to the thesis, what it means in relation to the thesis. This is a pretty common method to teach body paragraphs, and it's one I give my students, pretty much immediately, like the first week of school, and we use. There's also a method called the axes method. So it starts the same way as the basic format up at the top. Excuse me. It's just it's called axes. So instead of calling it a claim, we say it's an assertion. Either way, you start with a defensible claim. What are you saying is true, right? And then you give an example, the specific evidence for support. It might be a quote, it might be a paraphrase, might be a summary of something, right? And then you give an explanation, 2 or more sentences explaining how the evidence supports the claim, and then the significance, how it connects back to the thesis. Notice the parts are the same, right? Um, the difference is what we call it. This is the basic format. This is the axes method. Look at this last one. This is the peel method. First, you start with your point, which is the same thing. It's your reason. Then you give evidence. You have specific evidence for support, right? You give an explanation, 2 or more sentences explaining how the evidence supports the claim, and you link it back to the thesis, right? How it connects back to the thesis. The point is, all of these methods are the same. They have the same pieces. They're in the same order, right? And the defensible claim at the beginning, that's the thing that that is always there. It's always the start, right? Your body paragraphs are they are always beginning with a defensible claim. And again, that's not just a fact, that's something that you are stating is true that requires evidence, right? So how do we actually do that? A really good way to remember or to kind of think through this is having a subject, a claim, and a reason. All right. So if you put a sentence together pretty simply this way, you can go like this: apple pie, it's the subject, is better, that's what I'm claiming, than blueberry pie because it's sweeter and healthier, the reason. All right. Kind of a tongue-in-cheek example. But the idea being the apple pie is better than blueberry pie because it's sweeter and healthier. That actually requires that evidence. Okay, well, prove it. Is it sweeter? How do you know? Is it healthier? How do you know? Right? If you just said apple pie is better or apple pie is better than blueberry pie, that's not a defensible claim. That's just an opinion, right? It's just a thing that you think, and that's fine. That's great. But for this type of writing, you really need a defensible claim. Another example: walking is superior to running because it's less strenuous on the body. Okay, you could say walking sucks. Okay, that's an opinion. Walking is awesome. Opinion. Walking is superior to running. Opinion, right? Walking is superior to running because it's less strenuous on the body. Okay, now we have a defensible claim. What do you mean strenuous? How much pressure is actually put on the body on your knees, let's say, when you walk versus when you run? Whatever, right? It's that reasoning, the reason at the end. That's what makes it a defensible claim. And that is absolutely necessary for this type of writing, for these types of essays. So just a couple things to take away. A claim has to be defensible. Ask yourself, why am I saying this about my claim? Now, your answer is probably to finish this essay so I don't have to freaking do this anymore. I get that. But, for the purposes of putting a good essay together or a strong essay together, ask yourself, why am I saying this? Why am I starting my essay here? Maybe it's great. I'm not saying change it, but just try and really think through that. Critically think through your own writing and your own argument building, right? And a claim cannot be a statement of fact found in the text, of course, right? Martin Luther King talks about the future generations and how they will hopefully be more equal, right? Well, that's just a fact. That's a statement of fact. That's not that actually happens in the speech, right? And that was a very poor example because I'm not thinking great on the spot, but it's not something that is just factually true. That's the point. All right. So here is the final look here for the elements of an argument. My friends, once you get this thing down, and you practice this and you read examples of arguments that are great and arguments that are awful, and workshop like how can we make this one better and all that good stuff, you got this. And you're once you get these pieces down and you know how to put them together and structure them well and communicate clearly, man, it's like it can be like life changing, right? World changing for sure. So, just a last look at the goals. Today, we wanted to understand what a defensible claim is, and we wanted to understand how to build substantial defensible claims. So, I hope this video helped us do that, and I will see you next time, my friends.